You ready for some heads to explode? I have the man who is top of class in political commentary, Bill Maher. How is the old school liberal who says the Democratic Party left him in its woke wake more relevant than ever? And is it true? Is he about to meet the man he criticizes most of all? Bill Maher headed to the White House? For reals? Let's get after it.
We examine the analysis of contentious exchanges with Bill Maher and Gavin Newsom in today's video. And they don't hold back, I promise you. These two are doing what the majority of those in positions of power want, speaking to the opposition and exposing hard realities in a political environment rife with party babble, cancel culture, and echo chambers. Gavin Newsom dares to speak with people like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk, which infuriates his own party, while Bill Maher exposes the hypocrisy on both the left and the right. Why? Because they both understand that the current Democratic brand is in trouble and that it cannot be saved by phony unity. This analysis delves into their most daring opinions, including topics such as the woke train, crazy town, California's overregulation, and the actual risk of plastic poisoning our bodies while politicians argue. This is for you if you're sick of political theater and want to know what's actually happening behind the scenes. Now, let's have the actual conversation.
Fetterman was in the news today. He said, some of the Democratic Party said, if we don't get our shit together, we're going to be a permanent minority. Doing something about it. I applaud it. I think it's great. You've got this podcast. You're talking to people. You know, it's amazing to me that even that is controversial to some people. They call it platforming. If you talk to someone you don't agree with.
Yeah.
I feel like this country is divided into owners and healers. People who think you can own the other side. Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom owned DeSantis. Yeah. DeSantis destroyed Gavin Newsom. Yeah. Or people who want to talk and heal. And I feel like the next president's going to be, at least if it comes from this party, the Democratic Party, someone who wants to talk and heal. And I feel like we're doing it.
It's really been interesting, the reaction to the podcast. I mean, we had some controversial figures on, I'll acknowledge that, and Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and some others. But you're right. I mean, this idea that we can't even have a conversation with the other side.
You have to. They won.
Thank you. That's it. Bottom line. And by the way, the notion we just have to continue to talk to ourselves or we're in the same damn echo chamber. These guys are crushing us. The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped when the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense. And I think with this podcast and having the opportunity to dialogue with people I disagree with, it's an opportunity to try to find common ground and not take cheap shots. I'm not looking to put a spoke in the wheel of their, or at least a crowbar in the spokes of their wheel to trip them up, to your point. And I think it's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that. They've got to mature about it.
The Democratic Party is on a downward trajectory, and it has nothing to do with the actions of the Republicans. The Democrats' refusal to take action is the reason. Two of the few conservative voices with the guts to acknowledge that the House is on fire and that the leadership is still fighting over who should be in charge are Bill Maher and Gavin Newsom. Maher calls it what it is, with favorability ratings falling into the 20s and public trust collapsing. The brand is poisonous, misinterpreted, and unjustly attacked. Instead of hiding behind party affiliation, allegiance, or progressive rhetoric, Toxic and Newsom are breaking ranks by speaking with far-right individuals like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk, who would prefer to cancel than face. The woke mob has been enraged by that alone, and they now platform and yell whenever someone ventures to speak outside of the progressive bubble. The harsh reality is that your movement was never strong in the first place if it crumbles when it is contested. That game is over for Maher and Newsom. They have no interest in phony Twitter activism or fake fury. They're talking about preserving democracy by genuinely interacting with those you disagree with, not by shouting louder. The disease of cancel culture, the fixation with ideological purity, and the arrogant self-righteousness that is transforming the left into a closed group of litmus tests and frail egos are the things they are pointing out. Newsom acknowledges it outright. Democrats are too judgmental, too alone, and too outdated. They're going to lose, and they're going to deserve it, unless they mature, take charge, and stop talking long enough to hear other viewpoints. Coddling conservatives or acting as though the opposing viewpoint doesn't have its own issues is not the point here. The goal is to escape the echo chamber before it turns into a graveyard. Maher and Newsom are raising the red lights because they know what's at risk: the survival of their party and the future of the nation, not because they want influence.
Don't you think that they should be obsessed with how to do things differently? And you don't even hear them talking about it.
Well, you certainly hear Newsom talking about it. He said he's just started this podcast. I'm sure you heard that. He said he was modeling it on what I do on Real Time. He said, I want to talk to other people. His first guest was Charlie Kirk, who could be not more be on the other side. I like this. I like the new Newsom. I've been asking for this Newsom for a long time. So I think he's a great candidate if he was more of a centrist Democrat, and he seems like he wants to be. So I think it's great, and I can't wait till Friday and talk to him.
I can't wait to see what he says about what he's got working to make that not happen again when the fires come again.
Well, the whole thing is about this state is just so fucked with over taxes and over regulation.
Sure.
I mean, I last time he was on, I was, kidding him about the fact that I took 3 years to get my solar power turned on. Now I just had my roof redone because of the fires, because now I want a fireproof roof. 2 inspections, and you have to pay for those inspections, They're not free. And I asked this on the show last week. I see it got picked up by a lot of people. Why do I have to have inspectors looking at my roof? It's my roof. If it falls on my head, that's my problem. I don't need the government looking over my shoulder here. And this is why we can't get anything done in this state. The government is just too in our fucking business. And he was on last January, and I asked him about this and the red tape, and he had a big answer about, well, we're blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm going to find out what the exact blah, 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 blah was, and see now that it's a year and 3 months later, what's been done. Because if it's nothing, that's not good enough.
It's hard for people in power not use the power.
Bill Maher isn't sugarcoating the nightmare that is California. He attacks the state's excessive bureaucracy and exorbitant taxes, pointing out the kind of red tape that causes even simple tasks, like installing solar panels or a fireproof roof, to take years to complete. Years. That's right. Don't let anyone hear you say that. And this is in a state that says it is in the forefront of the fight against climate change. Maher makes an easy point. Wildfires continue to rage across California, but the state's leadership is unable to engage in difficult discussions about the causes, such as the true toxicity of the burn areas or the protracted reconstruction process. Rule after rule, paid inspections, and a government more concerned with micromanaging rooftops than with cleaning up the trash are all we get in place of action, not just venting either. In a state that talks big but delivers little, he is revealing a serious leadership failure. We should all be concerned if California is to serve as a model for the rest of the nation.
This last question. You're going to meet with the president.
I am?
So Kid Rock makes it happen. What do you think has been the response so far? What do you think it will be, and why are you doing it? Which I'm totally for, by the way, and I love it.
I get it. Well, I'm doing it because, first of all, it was presented as
a dare.
Not a dare. No, just like, maybe this is a beginning to heal America. No, I don't have some sort of complex where I think I can heal America. I can't. Okay, let's get that clear. I'm not going to be healing America. But if 2 guys who've been at each other for so long, I mean, it's kind of a Nixon to China thing. I have the credentials. There was nobody who was harder on Trump or more prescient about the fact that he wasn't going to leave office voluntarily than I was. I feel like I have the credentials. But they also respect me because I'm honest about the woke train to crazy town. And I don't shrink from that. And I've also lost a lot of fans for that. The woke people have left the building, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice. But it does give you a certain credibility. So I just think to meet somebody, first of all, it's an honor to be invited to the White House.
Yes, it is.
And I've already had a couple of people who I said to them, I'm just going to take it as a backhanded compliment that you glide right past the idea that little Bill Maher from Rivervale, New Jersey, just a humble kid from the suburbs, was invited for a private dinner to the White House. You glide right past that to how dare you talk to him, and that you're not impressed by it at all. I'm impressed by it a lot. I'm impressed the fuck out of it. I get to go to the White House, and yes, that is the structure of this dinner, is just let's talk. Let's talk to each other face to face. Let's not stop shouting from 3,000 miles away.
Yes. Did you hear correctly? No, Bill Maher isn't selling out when he goes to the White House for dinner. He's not suddenly becoming a Trump enthusiast or donning a MAGA hat. This has nothing to do with endorsements. It has to do with principle. Maher made it very evident. For years, he has been among Trump's most scathing detractors, forewarning everyone that the president would not go away amicably. However, he is also aware that shouting on social media isn't doing anything to bridge the gap in our nation. Maher accepted the invitation when it was sent, ostensibly by Kid Rock of all people. Why? Because sitting down and having an open discussion face-to-face is far more effective than yelling at each other from different corners. Yes, it's a symbolic step, but it's also difficult. What's the explanation for everyone else if someone like Maher, who has been brutally honest about Trump's shortcomings, can still appear and speak like an adult? Thanks for watching. Seriously, if you made it this far, you're the real one. If you're tired of the noise and want more unapologetic, honest breakdowns like this, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment below. Let's keep the conversation real and keep calling out the BS now, no matter where it's coming from. I'll see you in the next one.